Hey, what's up? My name is Mitchell and I'm a pharmacy student. I just finished my academic portion of pharmacy school. So my program's 3 years. It's an accelerated program. I just finished the first 2 years. And as of 2 weeks ago, I just started my rotations. But I thought, what better time than now than to shoot a video talking about all the things that I wish I did differently during the academic portion. So let's get to it. These are 5 things. And before I begin, if you haven't interviewed at pharmacy school or you just want to know what to expect, I'm going to leave a link down below. It's about a 20-minute video, but I'm sure all your questions will be answered after watching this video. So check that down below if you do want to know more about interviewing. All right, so number 1, be more consistent. Now, consistency is key for surviving pharmacy school and really learning the most. Originally, before COVID, I was probably one of the hardest working students. I would show up for 6 hours of lecture a day. I would study for 3 hours after class, and I was really consistent and I was always on top of my game. I aced every exam. I was killing it. COVID hit and I was consistent, but I was consistent only studying about 2 to 4 hours a day, which is pretty bad. So don't become consistent with bad habits. Try to, if you're going in right out the gate into pharmacy school, try to set the bar really high and maintain the bar. Instead of setting the bar low and then the night before the exam you're like, oh, I gotta study for 10 hours or something. It won't feel like a grind if the bar's always set high. It's just gonna feel normal for you. So that is my number 1 piece of advice. So the second thing I do differently is establish a sense of urgency and stop being complacent with good enough. And this is really applicable to COVID because when COVID hit, the expectations from the faculty and school went down a huge amount because we had open note exams, and just the fact of having open note exams means I didn't have to study basically anything. Like I need to have a decent understanding, but then if I had any questions, I would look at my notes. And even if I knew everything or if I felt like I did, I would still look at my notes. So I didn't really have a sense of urgency, and that limited the amount I studied. So if I can go back, I would establish a different sense of urgency. If COVID hit, my sense of urgency should be, I'm going to study my ass off because I want to pass the NAPLEX. So I'm going to study for NAPLEX in advance. Something like that. So this could be your biggest limitation if you let it. So try to always set the bar high and always establish a sense of urgency. Don't become complacent. All right, number 3, why am I learning this? Think big picture. Now I'm a tutor and I always preach this to my students, but think about big picture. Pharmacy school, you get lost in the weeds. There are so many meticulous concepts. You got to learn mechanisms of action. So you have to know all the physiology. You need to know adverse effects. But while you're learning about all this stuff, especially like adverse effects, don't think about, oh, I got to memorize the 10 different adverse effects for lisinopril. Think about, okay, well, why would dry cough be appropriate for me as a professional? If a patient's coming to me and they're like, hey, I want some hypertension or high blood pressure medications, what do you recommend? And I say, oh, well, lisinopril is a great medication, but a lot of people have a cough from it. Would you be okay with that? So try to think about how it would apply to you and try to apply the material as a professional, even though you're just a student. Think about what's really important and how it actually matters for patient care. So think big picture. And in terms of school and just kind of big concepts, if you're learning about these mechanisms, try to relay it back to a big idea. Like, okay, well, all these mechanisms are related to high blood pressure. And then you could kind of like solidify a foundation for the material that you're learning. And it'll make it a lot easier. So that's number 3. Number 4, I wish I would have got more involved with opportunities and talked to faculty. Now, I definitely used the COVID excuse. Oh, I don't want to go do immunizations because 1, I'm lazy, and 2, I don't want to risk getting COVID and all that. So I would have definitely gone back and I would have done more. I would have got more involved. First year, I was pretty involved pre-COVID. COVID hit, I was like, I became complacent. Don't become complacent, get involved. And then talk to faculty. So I'd never worked as a pharm tech prior, but if I could go back, I would have researched pharmacy jobs and what they do, the different types of physicians, and I would have talked to faculty that are in those positions and ask them about it. That is, I don't want to say it's a big regret of mine, but that is one thing that I really would have done differently in school. Talk to faculty. And getting experience is good, but you want to have the right mindset. Don't do it just because it looks good on your resume or CV. Do it because it's going to grow, it's going to help you grow as a person and a professional. So really reflect on experiences that you have and try to better yourself from them. All right, and lastly, revisit old material. This kind of goes hand in hand with studying for the NAPLEX and establishing a sense of urgency. At least in my schooling, we have every 2 weeks a different subject. So we might have high blood pressure for 2 weeks, and then we might have, heart failure for 2 weeks, and then depression for 2 weeks. But if you don't revisit the old material, you lose a lot of it. So if I'm learning about blood pressure first, and then I go into heart failure, I might think about, well, how does blood pressure affect heart failure? What are some similar medications that people with hypertension are going to be on that someone with heart failure is going to be on? So try to revisit that old material and build those connections. Because I'm telling you, I just started my hospital rotations about a week and a half ago, and there are so many medications. If your professor or teacher is giving you like a list of 10 medications for a patient, when you're a student, that could be really intimidating. But when you get out into the real world, that is normal. It is normal for a person to be on a ton of medications. So get ready for that. Try to revisit that old material and try to study in different locations to help build those memories. If you're used to studying in your room, for example, try moving out to the kitchen. Try teaching yourself the material vocally to help you know if you understand it. Really just try to mix it up. Well, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching the video. Like I said below, check the link if you want to know more about pharmacy interviewing, and thank you.